This is Cronkite News.
Today's executive order will pause the operation of bars, gyms, movie theaters, water parks, and tubing.
Coming up, Governor Doug Ducey announced new shutdown measures amid the pandemic. What do these restrictions mean going forward? The Supreme Court makes a decision about religious school vouchers and where that scholarship money can go. Much like school, the high school football season is postponed. Details on the pause put on athletes.
Cronkite News starts now.
Welcome to this Cronkite News Update. I'm Sam Brennan. Pools, water parks, movie theaters, bars, and gyms will be closed this holiday weekend. Governor Doug Ducey's 30-day executive order went into effect last night at 8 p.m. Cronkite News reporter Madison Atkinson learned more about the statewide closure.
Executive order will pause the operation of bars, gyms, movie theaters, water parks, and tubing.
But some bars sell food, and that's leaving some people confused as to what classifies a bar versus a restaurant. The answer depends on the liquor license.
The main ones that we're talking about now are basically unrestricted licenses that allow you to sell beer, wine, and liquor. There's a different type of liquor license that requires you to have 40% of your revenue to come from food. Those restaurant licenses don't require that establishment to close down. The ones that bars and clubs have, those need to be shut down at least through the end of July.
The order also limits crowds at swimming pools to 10 people and no large gatherings of more than 50. In addition, the governor announced Arizona public schools will not start back in person until August 17th at the earliest.
That has really put a lot of pressure on parents who need to work, have to find a way to watch the kids, but at the same time, a whole nother group of people who are very scared that their children were going to be on top of each other in a few weeks.
Governor Doug Ducey said expect the number of COVID-19 cases to be worse next week, but he hopes these actions will work.
It will take several weeks for the mitigations that we have put in place and are putting in place to take effect, but they will take effect.
Dr. Brian Castrucci, president and CEO of the De Beaumont Foundation, explains how the shutdown could be effective in Arizona.
Virus needs a place to go, and if you cut off its place to go, then the cases drop.
People need to make sure they are continuing to follow CDC guidelines.
You can do this for 30 days if you don't follow it up with continued social distancing, continued mask wearing, and continued shutdowns of places where we know super spreader events happen, like bars and nightclubs. Then this is just going to delay the inevitable.
Madison Atkinson, Cronkite News.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to rage, task force member Dr. Anthony Fauci, as well as other health experts, believe cases could rise to 100,000 per day in the U.S. Fauci issued this stark warning on Tuesday to lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The urgent message from top U.S. health experts came during a hearing on the pandemic, as several states struggle to contain the virus. The U.S. reported more than 40,000 new COVID-19 cases on Friday, its biggest daily jump yet. While Fauci added that he can't make an accurate prediction of the number of cases and deaths the U.S. will see before the pandemic is over, he emphasized that he and other health experts remain hopeful that a vaccine could be around the corner.
There is no guarantee, and anyone who's been involved in vaccinology will tell you, that we will have a safe and effective vaccine. But we are cautiously optimistic, looking at animal data and the early preliminary data, that we will at least know the extent of efficacy sometime in the winter and early part of next year. Again, working with the companies and the investment made by this Congress, hopefully there will be doses available by the beginning of next year.
The importance of wearing masks was also stressed, with Fauci recommending that everyone wear one. He also indicated that he would support an effort to increase production and distribution of masks in the U.S. free of charge. More than half of all states are seeing a rise in cases, with Florida, Texas, and here in Arizona getting hit particularly hard. Vice President Mike Pence has postponed his trip to Phoenix by a day, choosing to meet with Governor Ducey, public health officials, and healthcare representatives tomorrow. Initially, Pence planned to hold campaign events in Tucson and Yuma, but those were canceled last week amid concerns over the rising number of COVID cases. Dr. Deborah Birx, a respected medical voice and member of the White House's coronavirus task force, is traveling with Pence on his tour of the worst affected states, including Texas and Florida. Pence's trip to Arizona comes at a key moment for the state as hospitalizations and the number of ICU patients continue to rise. The Supreme Court has ruled that states cannot cut religious schools out of programs that send public money to private education. The court's 5-4 ruling, with conservatives in the majority, came Tuesday in a dispute over a Montana scholarship program for private K-12 education that also makes donors eligible for up to $150 in state tax credits. Montana's highest court had struck down the tax credit as a violation of the state constitution's ban on state aid to religious schools. The scholarships can be used at both secular and religious schools, but almost all the recipients attend religious schools. Yesterday, the University of Arizona put its plan to bring athletes back on pause due to the increased rate of COVID-19 infection in Pima County. The school has tested 83 athletes with only one positive case. They are awaiting clarification from Governor Ducey if workouts with athletes already on campus can continue with the executive order banning gyms taking effect yesterday. The high school football season is also being affected by COVID, as the AIA announced yesterday that the season will be postponed. This came after Governor Ducey's announcement about school being delayed to August 17th. No timeline for return to play has been finalized. Chinese researchers have discovered a new type of swine flu that can infect humans and has the potential to cause a future pandemic, according to a study released on Monday. Although scientists have cautioned that the virus does not pose an immediate global health threat. The disease, which researchers call the G4 virus, is genetically descended from the H1N1 swine flu that caused a pandemic in 2009. According to the study, G4 now shows all the essential hallmarks of a candidate pandemic virus. Chinese researchers based at several institutions discovered the G4 virus during a pig surveillance program, with further tests showing that the virus can infect humans. Although G4 holds H1N1 genes, people who have received seasonal flu vaccines won't have any immunity, and it appears to have already infected humans in China. Today, a wildfire burning in the Santa Catalina Mountains of southern Arizona is prompting more evacuations. The Pima County Sheriff's Department said an area near Mount Lemmon, northeast of Tucson, was being evacuated this morning. The area includes the southeastern Catalina area around Reddington Road. Authorities did not immediately say how many homes were in the area. The Bighorn fire was sparked by lightning more than 3 weeks ago and has now burned across nearly 180 square miles. More than 1,000 firefighters and support crew are working on the fire with the help of dozens of engines, several bulldozers, and a fleet of helicopters. Today marks the 7th anniversary of the Yarnell Hill Fire and the death of the 19 Granite Mountain hotshots. In 2013, the small town of Yarnell was under evacuation from a wildfire that was started by lightning. A 20-man crew was sent out to battle the fire and were overrun. With the fire spreading rapidly, they deployed their fire shelters, but only one of the men survived. The fire burned 8,400 acres. Although it was not one of the largest fires in Arizona history, it is considered one of the deadliest. Mesa Art Center is bringing the art to you. Today, they announced 3 new ways to experience their art studio programs in the comfort of your home. Mesa Art Center will be offering an online art class series, an Art to Go box, and an Arts in Service online class for veterans and service members. Both classes are now open for registration, and the Art to Go boxes will be available next week. The online art class offers everything from watercolor basics to large-scale metal sculpture, with the classes costing from $65 to $95. The Art to Go boxes are $25 each and include materials and video instruction to complete 2 family-friendly activities. Mesa Art Center's campus and facilities will remain closed to the public to slow the spread of COVID-19. No word yet on when it will reopen. That's it for this edition of Cronkite News. For Arizona news updates throughout the day, Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and find us online at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.